also known as Anson Phillip, and we're about to talk about a topic that looks like something that's an option for Warner Brothers Discovery. Okay, and it can be more real a topic than you think. So let's get into that topic, and let me explain to you what will happen. First of all, Disney has problems of their own. I was just looking at Tyrone Magnus, as he's going in on the issue of Walt Disney's Wonder Man, who is now going to be played by a black actor, the same actor who played Black Manta. So they got their own problems, and they're ticking off the fans for sure. First, let me just go to Matthew chapter 27. Let me read a couple verses. It says, very early in the morning, the leading priests and other elders met again to discuss how to persuade the Roman government to sentence Jesus to death. They then bound him and took him to Pilate, the Roman governor. When Judas, who had betrayed him, realized that Jesus had been condemned to die, he was filled with remorse. So he took the 30 pieces of silver back to the leaders, the leading priests and elders. He said, I have sinned, he declared, for I have betrayed an innocent man. And they replied, we don't care. That's your problem. Then Judas threw the money on the floor of the temple and went out and hung himself. The leading priests picked up the money. They said, we can't put it in the temple treasury. They said, since it's against the law to accept money paid for murder. After some discussion, they finally decided to buy the potter's field. And they made it into a cemetery for foreigners. That is why the field is still called to this day the field of blood. This fulfilled the prophecy of Jeremiah that says they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price at which he was valued by the children of Israel, and purchased the potter's field as the Lord directed. All right. All of this has a lot to do with what we're about to talk about today. Okay? I'm going to say this. You have to stay true to what it is you do. I'm going to say to Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers Discovery, you stay true to what you are. DC is not Marvel. What works for Marvel is not going to work for DC. And these executives feel there's a formula to everything. And they're going to find out very soon that there is no formula for the creative process when properly done and executed. All right, let's get into it. So, is it very possible that the DC properties could be bought over by Disney? Very possible. I'm going to tell you why. One, James Gunn and Peter Safran. Peter Safran, first of all, was very tight with Walter Hamada, with Toby Emmerich. That he comes from the former regime. And then, on top of that, we have James Gunn, a Marvel director, who is putting out 2 Marvel movies in the next couple coming days. He's also co-head of DC Films, or DC Studios, shall we say. That means the old regime, they doubled down. Warner Brothers Discovery doubled down on the old regime and the old regime's practices. This can only mean one thing, that the Discovery end of it, that is David Zaslav said, if this thing don't work out, what we trying to do with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, we selling this thing off to Disney. And that's what basically David Zaslav is saying. So it's a very real possibility, even though David Zaslav is saying we're going to keep it. The other thing is, David Zaslav has brought in people from Disney, people who were successful in Disney, right? A gentleman who helped with Kevin Feige build the MCU. Was very successful with it, is here. There are a number of other Marvel directors who are directing DC properties. So they're trying to Marvelize DC. They're still going full speed ahead, like Walter Hamada, Jeff Johns, John Berg, and Toby Emmerich and Aaron Sarnoff were doing. They put the foundation work, and now they're building on that. Black Adam, again, no call to the Snyderverse, nothing like that. They try to borrow some elements of the action, but for the most part, Black Adam is another Hamada burger. So the direction that it seems Warner Brothers Discovery is moving in is in the direction of, we're going to try and shape up this thing as nice as we can, make it a good enough package for when we have to sell it over to Disney, so that the MCU and the DC universes can be under one umbrella, Disney. Okay. So basically, they're doing a Judas on us. Okay, for the DC fans, majority of the DC fans like the Snyderverse. The majority of the DC fans enjoyed the Snyderverse, and there are even more coming in and enjoying the Snyderverse. And you have even some MCU fans who enjoy certain shows or certain movies of the Snyderverse. And when I talk about the Snyderverse, I'm only talking about Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman. Okay, that's the Snyderverse. Okay, so to really cut a long story short, what happens if um, DC sold over to Disney? Disney already got a lot of problems on their hands. It's a big company, yes, but they have a lot of problems on their hands. What Zaslav and all these guys are counting on is that the Marvel fans would actually patronize DC because now it's bought over by the mouse, which is not going to happen. Marvel fans are fans of Marvel. They're not fans of DC. The DC brand is not going to be able to get away with duplicating what Marvel did. Okay? What Marvel did is what Marvel did. We're not going to have Marvel Part 2. So, if you try to be redundant by putting the DC brand in there with Marvel, the Marvel fans are just going to continue to support Marvel. And if you just give us more generic films like they've been giving recently, nobody's going to watch DC. So what's actually happening with the brand, and the problem with DC is defined by distinctive, very engaging, very fresh takes on stories and character. That's what DC is known for. And when you try to change that brand into a brand that already exists, making it redundant, you're going to destroy that brand. And no matter if Disney gets that brand, and Disney's already on their own agendas in there, if Disney gets that brand, it's not going to survive. Look what's happened with Star Wars. Disney got a hold of the Star Wars brand from Lucasfilms, and Star Wars has never been able to recover. Star Wars fans everywhere still hate Star Wars to this day. And that's what will happen if Disney gets their hands on the DC brand. It's going to die. It's going to become generic, and it's going to die. So the solution to the problem is not selling over DC stock to Disney. I just want to say it again. I'm going to double down on that. You think you're going to get the Marvel fan base, you're not going to get the Marvel fan base. Marvel going to reign supreme. DC will be in the gutter, in the prison, and it will be dead. You will kill DC. So all this talk about Jeff Johns and the crossover movies with Marvel and all of that, and that will spike up the DC, but it won't work. It'll fail miserably. Okay? Now they say, well, why don't they just transition and put some Marvel corrections into DC stories, and then Marvel fans will go and watch it? No, they won't. No, they won't. I'll tell you why. Because Marvel fans are vested and invested in Marvel. Marvel brand, they have confidence in. And seeing a Marvel, if the Marvel characters kicking DC, the DC characters' ass, like how they're trashing the Justice League with Peacemaker and all of these things, probably they'll go to watch Marvel beat up DC, and DC will just become somebody who is bullied. Okay, it'll just be trash, which would be sad. So that is a possibility as well. But quite frankly, the DC brand will be going right down the toilet. All you'll be doing is just destroying the brand and destroying all the fans and moving them away from DC and destroying DC. That's what would happen if Disney was to get their hands on DC. Okay? The worst thing that Warner Bros. Could have done was put James Gunn in charge of DC. Just the worst thing, because it's an insult. You're saying that all of the DC directors out there, you had to take a Marvel director to put him in charge of DC, which is never going to work. The most successful DC directors did not go with the Marvel formula and didn't need to go with the Marvel formula. And anyways, my point is that alternative is a no. And the simple answer to these problems is to listen to the real fans of DC. I'm going to say one more thing. What people don't know is more than 60% of the DC fans that watch DC movies are Snyder fans. That is just a fact. most of the fans that started supporting the DC movies came on board because of Zack Snyder, because he's the father of the DCEU. Now they tried to rename it DCU. This is not the first time. With Jeff Johns and John Berg, they tried to rename it the DCU as well. It failed. And I'm going to say this right now. I do not see James Gunn nor Peter Safran effecting any kind of positive change on DC. The films are going to tank just like how Black Adam is tanking right now. And they're going to do poorly. And they're not going to do very well. Like the previous DC films from the earlier era when Zack was running. So, ultimately, in the end, people are talking about comic book movie fatigue and all of that. That can only happen if you keep on having the same kinds of films over and over and over again. No unique story, no unique take on anything. And so there's a brain drain, sort of like. People don't have innovative ideas. There's nothing to get fans of DC excited. So for all the DC fans out there, y'all better start bucking up. It's not just about the Snyder fans. And no, the Snyder fans are not a minority. Clearly, Black Adam would benefit from at least $300 to $400 million coming from those same Snyder fans that y'all call toxic. And there are a lot more Snyder fans than you think out there. There's a lot. The majority of DC fans are Snyder fans. Just saying. So that's what I got to say for now. I'm going to catch you guys later. I am Christ, I am Disciple, a.k.a. Anson Phillip. If you want to donate to my channel, you can check out my PayPal. And that will be in the description as well as in the comment section below. Y'all guys have a good day. And remember, Judas killed himself when he realized he was destroying an innocent man and spilling innocent blood. Warner Brothers, y'all gonna kill yourselves and commit suicide if y'all keep on hurting that innocent man named Zack Snyder, putting him on the block shelf. Bring back Zack Snyder. Restore the Snyderverse. Release the Ayer cut. Release the Snyder cut in cinemas. I'm done. Peace.